And perfect. So this is the trip info session for the South Korea tour in June/July of 2026. I'm gonna share screen, go over some slides tonight, and then we'll have plenty of time for Q&A as well. So the South Korea trip is taking place directly after our Japan tour, and it will run from June 26th through July 3rd. In terms of the main highlights, we are going to be spending 3 of the nights in Seoul and exploring a lot of the temples and the history, as well as some of the food markets throughout Seoul. Then we are going to do our day trip to the demilitarized zone, which is the area between North and South Korea. We will have a special guide there who will take us through the history of the Korean War, how it became two separate countries, and sort of the status of North and South Korea today. We will then spend 3 nights in Busan, which is a city on the coast of Korea, and it has these really beautiful beaches and very green tropical environment. And there in Busan, one of the things we will do is spend a day in Gamcheon Village, which is incredibly colorful, as you can see from this photo we took a few years ago. It is built into a hillside, and it kind of used to be known as like a similar to the favelas of Rio, where it was a small urban, largely impoverished area, but there has been a huge amount of investment made in the last 15 years by the South Korean government to improve all of the standards of living of Gamcheon, as well as make it a very entrepreneurial place. So we'll have a local guide from Gamcheon Village who will take us around, show us a lot of the artisan cooperatives, teach us about the history and the culture. And it's a very vibrant neighborhood just outside of Busan. So those are just some of the highlights. In terms of the day-to-day itinerary, you will arrive in Seoul on the 26th. If you're interested in coming in a day early for time zone adjustment, that is also fine. The official trip will kick off with our welcome dinner and group intros on the 26th. The 27th, we will have our Seoul tour where we'll see many of the different palaces, the temples, as well as Bucheon Nok Village, which is also built into a hill, and it's all of these wooden houses that have been around for centuries, and it's one of the hearts of the history and culture of Seoul. We will then have our DMZ day trip on the 28th. We will take the train there and back. On the 29th, we'll have a free day in Seoul. Seoul is an awesome place if you love shopping. There are tons of incredible markets. If you're into food and trying interesting foods, we can recommend some different food tours. And then finally, if you're into Korean makeup, spas, Korean types of pharmaceuticals, etc. You can go shopping for different Korean beauty products, or we have a great spa that we have gone to in the past few years with some women, and you can have a whole spa day in Seoul. So this day is yours to explore at the pace that you want, and we'll get back together that evening as a group for dinner. Then the 30th, we will take the high-speed train, which itself is an experience, from Seoul to Busan. We will be staying at a hotel right on Hunande Beach. And so we'll have a cool seafood dinner. We'll have the chance to just enjoy the sunset in this really beautiful beach area. Then the 1st of July will be our Busan highlights. So we'll do Gamcheon Village, the village I was discussing that's very colorful. We'll do some of the temples. And then finally this evening, we will do a street food and market tour for dinner. And then July 2nd is our beach day. We're going to be going to a beach club where you'll have a pool, a beach, and the sort of relaxing day just to enjoy being by the ocean. And then we will do a dinner cruise along Busan's coast as our farewell dinner in order to just see the city all lit up from a different perspective. And July 3rd, you'll be able to leave from Busan Airport back to the US. Just one note that this trip does have you arriving and departing from different airports. So you'll arrive to Seoul, Incheon, which is ICN, is the airport code. And then you'll want to depart from Gimhae in Busan, which is PUS. There are sort of two options. You can either book a round trip through Incheon, and then just take a short internal flight one way from Busan back to Seoul. Or if you prefer, you can book two, like a multi-city or two one-way flights. There are actually direct flights from the US to Busan. So you can fly from the west coast of the US directly to Busan or to Seoul. Um, where we're staying. So we'll be staying at the Stanford Hotel in Myeongdong, which is this really very upscale shopping neighborhood in Seoul. It makes it so that you can just walk straight out of the hotel and enjoy a lot of the city right there. It's also very well connected via the subway and public transit. So on that free day, it makes it easy for you to get around to all the different neighborhoods. And then in Busan, we'll be staying at this beach hotel that is, again, it has an infinity pool and then it has the beach right below it. So it's a really beautiful location. FAQs. So this time of year in Seoul, it's going to be in the 70s and 80s. There is a small to moderate chance of rain. It's the beginning of rainy season, but it shouldn't be all day rain. It would be, an afternoon shower. So it'll be hot and humid, good weather for being by the beach. The activity level is moderate on this trip, 3 to 4 miles of walking on the walking tour days, less on the free days or our beach day. Those are more relaxed. South Korea is a very modern country, but some of the palaces and villages that we're going to be exploring with our guide do involve stairs or uneven paths. So making sure that you can comfortably go up and down stairs without assistance is important to be able to fully participate in the trip. And then finally, we're going to be using a mix of public transit and private taxis and drivers to get around. The public transit is actually typically more efficient in South Korea than a car is, just because it's meant to get you from A to B rather than the streets that can have a lot of congestion and traffic. And it's also part of the cultural immersion. So we just like to set expectations that you'll have a special transit card that will let you tap to pay and get onto all of the transportation. And we will preload that with funds so that you can use it as you're exploring on your free day. And then right now, there's no visa or ETA for US and Canadian citizens. There is going to be one taking into effect on January 1st, 2027, but that's after this trip. So if you're a US and Canadian citizen right now, visiting in June, you will, I made a spelling error. There is no visa that you have to pay for. And then finally, the trip price is $5,695 in single occupancy. That is 4 to 5 star boutique hotels, the two hotels we shared. You'll have your own private room at each hotel. You'll have daily breakfast and dinner, and then 5 lunches, so lunch every day except for the free day in Seoul. And then you also have your private airport transfers on arrival and departure day, as well as all of the private transportation, the public transportation, and the guided tours and activities throughout the itinerary. So that is really all the basic information. This is Hanok Village, the village I was describing in Seoul. So it's these really beautiful wooden preserved buildings that we'll have the chance to walk through and learn all about the history of. So let me open it up for any questions. Feel free to come off mute, ask any questions, or put them in the chat.
Question,
Yeah.
Catherine. Okay, so I went to the trip in 2024. That was actually me in the picture that you were showing.
Yes.
I was those pictures. So on the trip, the day trip to the DMZ zone,
Yes.
since I've been there, done that, and it's basically kind of redundant,
Yeah.
would I be able to kind of skip that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Since we're coming, we're gonna be at the same hotel in Seoul that day, so you could just have another free day in Seoul.
Okay.
And I'm happy to give some recommendations. You may have ideas, having been there, also of things like you missed the first tour that you wanted to do this time around, but that would not be a problem. We could just meet you back for dinner that day.
Okay. Good deal. And then you mentioned the extra day coming in early, which I
Yes.
did last time and I want to do again. When will that option be available on the website so that I can go ahead and get that scheduled?
We are gonna do that right about 90 days in advance of the trip. So, ha do you have your flights already?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Have you sent them to me? I apologize if you have.
No, I haven't, but
Okay.
and I have a
If
question
you
about that too.
Okay. So once you send me your flights, then I'll go ahead and just add that extra day to your invoice. I just like to wait until we have flights purchased before I add any extra day to your invoice.
Okay. And the last question I
Yeah.
had is on the flights, because I noticed that on the itinerary you were showing that it said private transfer, I guess, from Busan to that other airport, because this was the first time that I had done, arriving at one airport and
Yeah.
leaving a different one. So I noticed that it says that I'm leaving from Busan, which is PUS, and then it
Yes.
takes me over to I guess, Gimhae, which is GMP. But then the next leg of the flight on my itinerary shows me leaving out of Seoul. It doesn't show going from GMP to ICN. So I was a little concerned about that.
Send me your itinerary and I'll take a look because there are two airports in Seoul. There's Gimhae and there's INC. So they might be expecting you to do a transfer from one airport to the other, which we could help arrange. But just send me a copy of your itinerary and I'll take a look and confirm that we have the same understanding, and then we can help if there needs to be an extra transfer.
I just want to make sure I didn't do this wrong, because I mean, it shows I'm leaving from the airport PUS
Yeah,
and I'm going to GMP, and then but it doesn't show me going from GMP to
and P to
INC.
yeah.
I'm
Let
leaving INC coming back to the States. It's just
um
from GMP to INC, I
see.
don't show there's any travel there.
Yeah.
Send this to you and you can take a look and just make sure I didn't, do something stupid.
Yeah, no worries. Send it over and I'll take a look and just make sure that everything is right on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem. Okay. Any other
Yeah.
questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
It's going to be hot and humid. Is
Yes.
it okay to wear shorts? Is that acceptable there, or is that unacceptable culturally wise?
So, it is okay to wear shorts most of the time. At some of the temples, they'll
Right.
want you to have your down to your ankles covered.
Okay.
So, what I would recommend for like the Seoul History Tour day, I would probably wear like at least capri length pants or full length pants.
Okay.
Um, every other day besides that, Busan as well on our cultural tour day, it'd probably be a little better to wear long pants. But all of the other days that are more the free time, the beach day, or, dinners, etc., if you wanted to wear shorts or a skirt, that would not be a problem. The other
Okay.
thing which we can always do, like what we do in Bali, is you can bring a sarong, so you can wear shorts, and then if you have like a long sarong skirt that you can tie around your waist just to keep your knees covered basically when we go into the temple. And then when you come out, you can take it off and just wear your shorts again. So that'd be
Okay.
the other option.
Okay.
Any other questions? Uh,
I think I had one, but I
yeah,
forgot. It flew right out of my head. Find
no
out
worries, Terry.
how many travelers are there going to be on this trip?
So the maximum is 10. We have six confirmed, so the trip is fully happening right now. And we have four spots left available at the moment. So the trip, I'm guessing, will end up with somewhere around eight travelers. Um, well, I will also have Tiara introduce herself. So she's going to be your lead trip host. You're going to have an additional trip host or host assistant as well. But Tiara, if you want to just say hi and introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening, ladies. My name is Tiara Anderson. I live in North Carolina and I will be your lead host. for the Seoul, South Korea trip. I do see some familiar faces as we have just hopped off the Japan trip. So if you're participating in the Japan trip and then coming over to South Korea, I will be your lead host for both trips.
Yes.
Oh,
So you're going to be stuck with me for about 2 weeks.
Susan.
is there a thing where, if I go to Japan and then do the Seoul trip, that's a long time just to have one carry-on and like a
Yes.
backpack. So how do you do that with laundry? Do they have laundry there?
Yes.
Is it expensive? I don't know anything how they do that.
All the hotels do have laundry. The hotel in Tokyo and one in Seoul and in Busan. It's not as expensive as in the US. I would not say it's the cheapest ever, but it's probably cheaper than paying for a checked bag or getting a bag lost.
Okay.
So my general recommendation is, pack enough clothes for like the first week, and then you can have it laundered. In Seoul, it'll probably be between like 25 and $35 to do, a whole bag of clothing. The other alternative is you're welcome to check a bag. We are going to be traveling by, um, you know, in Tokyo for the first half of the trip. When you're in Japan, you're only doing day trips, so you're going to be at the same hotel the whole time, so you don't have to move your bag very often. And then we're going to be on a high-speed train from Seoul to Busan, and it's not a problem to take your suitcase on that train if you have a piece of checked luggage and you need a little bit more space.
Okay.
And then for those doing both trips back to back, WTA will organize the internal flight for you um, from Tokyo to Seoul, and we can make sure that there's a checked luggage available for you there as well.
And I don't have global entry at this time because it's really hard to get
Yeah.
appointments. I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on with them, but that's besides the point. Am I going to have a trouble having to go through regular customs versus global?
No, so the only thing it's helpful for is when you land back in the US and you have to make your way, from your international flight to connect to the
Right.
domestic flight. As long as you leave yourself like 2.5 to 3 hours, it's not going to be a problem. Honestly, depending on the airport, sometimes my experience recently has been that the global entry is really not that much faster than like the standard line because so many people have global entry that it kind of causes a backup. And then my husband does not have global entry, and he got through the customs process faster than I did when I landed in DC recently. So
Okay.
I would not worry about it. 2 to 3 hours is sufficient time to make that connection from international
Okay.
to domestic.
Okay.
Um,
Thank you.
yeah. Any other questions?
No.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate everybody's time tonight.